Spawning here at the bottom left corner of the map. Spawning as the blue Protoss. Hailing from Korea and representing the team of Freaka Freaks, it is Stats. And spawned here at the top right, he's the red Protoss player. Hailing from Korea, it is ZEST. And you know what, I mentioned earlier that in PvP, you can get away with one gate openings on certain maps. I mentioned Pillars of Gold earlier on, but outside is also one of the maps that you can kind of get away with a one gate opening. You know, because of that kind of high ground ramp area, and it's pretty easy to kind of wall off. You just place a gateway, a cybernetic core, another gateway or so, and then maybe a shield battery or a pylon to wall it off completely if you need to against the any depth openings from the opponent. But as you can see, both players kind of anticipate this, sends their early probe out to get the pylon block. Will delay the nexus of either or both of these players. So a little bit of a delayed nexus. Oh man, that is so cheeky. Stats once again, further delaying the nexus of ZEST. We'll throw down the cybernetic core. So Stats gonna be able to. Oh, actually, you know what? He is gonna go ahead and make another unit out of that gateway. So it's gonna go ahead and delay his nexus a little bit more. Alright, relatively the same nexus, second nexus timing. However, I'm very interested to see what tech either of these players are going to go for. We do see that the Twilight Council has been thrown down here by ZEST. What do we see here for Stats though? Has yet to throw down any tech buildings. I think he wants to do a hallucinator scout before deciding. But, I mean, he does have enough energy. Okay, there we go. He's going to go ahead and throw down the Twilight Council as well. A little bit delayed though. As you can see, the Twilight Council already done here for ZEST. So he's going to have a much faster blink. And there's going to be a little bit period of time where ZEST's going to have the advantage of that. However, can he scout this? He doesn't have the hallucinated Phoenix of ZEST. Should be able to scout this very delayed Twilight Council. So will we see a timing attack where he goes across the map with a bunch of Splink Stalkers and maybe some a group of sentries to force field and take advantage of that faster blink? Or will he just kind of sit back and just go for the third nexus? Both these players just sending a bunch of hallucinated phoenixes to kind of measure their opponent, see what's up, see what they're going for. Are they throwing down a bunch of gateways in preparation for a big attack, or are they looking to play a more macro kind of game? So far, not a huge amount of gateways being thrown down by either of these players. So it seems very much so that they might go for a small pressure, but definitely into a third nexus. All right. Both players gained their third nexus. It does seem though that Stats wants to go ahead and possibly get a cancel on this third of Stats. However, I don't see that quite working out here, as Stats might have decent amount of damage to at least hold on here, but he doesn't have the War Prism, so that might be the kind of turning point in this fight. Oh boy, yeah, this is a tough position. Was kind of let ZEST get into place there, but you know what? With that blink, you will get and snipe off that War Prism immediately. So no more reinforcement coming here out of ZEST, but because of that, I mean, he still has a lot of stalkers here. Oh man, this is gonna be a tight fight here. A lot of these stalkers for ZEST are pretty low, so I think Stats might be able to, with a reinforcement, finally push ZEST back. Now that was a scary few moments, as it seemed like ZEST was kind of slowly snowballing. But Stats does manages to hold on. We'll save that third base. Alright, now it's time for Stats' turn to put on the damage here. Now that's a nice pylon placement for ZEST. We'll be able to kind of give ZEST the wherewithal to know that these stalkers are blinking into the main base. No, there are no shield batteries here, but the rest of the stalkers will be able to defend them off. Nice little kind of multi-prong attack by Stats. That these kind of maneuvers are what makes him so good. Not just attacking at one place, but at multiple areas, kind of pulling the his opponent left and right. Now ZEST, interestingly enough, actually going for a fourth Nexus. This is quite fast. He doesn't even have his third Nexus fully saturated yet. I'm not sure about this, but if a Stats, doesn't really scout this for the foreseeable future, ZEST might be able to kind of get away with it. It seems like ZEST is going to go ahead and try to keep Stats busy back at home with this attack, this harassment. Oh no, wait. He actually go ahead and blinks forward into the Immortal. That might have been a huge blunder there by ZEST. He needs to recall out. I mean, okay, I guess he just gonna go ahead and just sack his entire army. That was not good. That was definitely not good there by ZEST, and he knows it. He GG's out. Stats, which is pick off game number 1 with a huge mistake there by ZEST. Yeah, it's very tempting to kind of to blink forward and to snipe off that one Immortal, but you got to make sure you have enough stalkers to make sure that you kind of don't overextend, because at that point it looked like Stats had like almost equal amount of stalkers, and then he also had the Zealot Warpins. So you got to contend with not just the stalkers, but those charge lot or zealots. I'm not quite sure they had the charge upgrade, but yeah, gotta be careful not to do that. Now we have seen in the past like Patience doing very forward blink into his detriment, and it kind of reminded me of a Patience blink maneuver where he just blinks into death when that was not the right call. Alright, so spawning here at the bottom right with a 1-0 lead here, looking to close out this series. Can he do it? It is Stats. And spawn here at the top left corner of the map, he's the red Protoss player, looking to tie up the series and push it to a decisive third game and to stray away from elimination. It is ZEST. Alright, so we do see a little bit of a later scout here coming out of ZEST. Not preoccupied with scouting immediately. Oh, Stats taking a little bit of a risk here, going for that early Nexus before going for the second gateway and cybernetic core. And this might actually be a huge mistake, as ZEST is looking to go ahead and proxy. And I'm gonna make a wild guess. Well, not so wild guess. I think it's gonna be a robo. I think it's gonna be a robo. Oh no, it's actually gonna be a third gateway here. So 3-gate stalker pressure. And unless Stats makes at least maybe 2 shield batteries at the front, this could actually do a significant amount of damage. So far, Stats hasn't spotted this, but you know what? He has been scouting in his main base. The main base of ZEST does see there are no second pylon or even a third pylon down in the low ground. So his spidey senses should be up. He's going to go ahead and throw down a Stargate. And I would expect him to go for a Void Ray, because right now he needs some punching power in order to hold on. Oracles just doesn't do quite the amount of damage as well as Phoenixes. So Void Ray should be his first units coming out of that Stargate. Now, good thing for Stats is he does scout off this proxy pylon, but he's got to be careful. He is going to get intercepted by these 2 stalkers. Oh no, and this shield battery is not quite done yet. He needs to block off the stalker before he can get into the shield battery range. And a really nice pick off there. A little bit of a mistake by Stats. I don't blame him. I mean, there is a proxy pylon. You want to always kind of snipe that off so that the reinforcement point is further away, and that helps during the defense. But situations like that where you get your stalker kind of intercepted, that is not good. I mean, with that early Nexus, he is already kind of a little bit behind on the army count. He is desperately throwing down a bunch of shield batteries here. Okay, so it looks like Stats gonna set up his own shield battery wall here. Oh, this is smart. ZEST trying to pick off some of these shield batteries, but I think he has enough stalkers to just pick off these avoid rates despite all these shield batteries. And ZEST, he is gonna do it. He is gonna go ahead and push it into a game number 3 with a nice little 3-gate build order. That was a little bit, you know, you don't see it quite as often these days because, you know, shield batteries are pretty good, shield battery overcharge, but ZEST making that work still. All right, so we're going to have ourselves the first game number 3 of today. Of course, the first 3 matches ended in a 2-0 victory for all these players. But again, this is the elimination match. So whoever loses this game is going to be eliminated from this tournament. They're going to go home with 0 money prize pool. So definitely doesn't want to go that route. They do want to at least make it to the round of 8 where they will at least have a minimum of $50. Just want to go ahead and remind you guys that they're to go ahead over to the Match Arena page. Let me go ahead and type that into the live chat. where the matrimonial link is posted right there, as well as the coupon code ITaX PC5. Head on over there, enter that coupon code, and voila, 50 cents absolutely free contributed to the overall prize pool. You don't have to pay a cent. All right, here we go. Game number 3. Spawning at the bottom left corner of the map is the blue Protoss player representing the team of Freaker Freaks. Give it up for stats. And spawning here at the top right corner of the map with a nice 3-gate opening win in the last game. Looking to win once again. It is ZEST. Alright, once again, 2-gate opening coming out of ZEST. Stats also, once again, going for a riskier play with that 1-gate opening into Nexus. I'm not sure this is the best map for it. But you know what? He is going to go ahead and take that risk once again. And you know what? It looks like ZEST wants to do a similar type of opening. The question is it going to be the same 3-gate opener from ZEST, or will he actually proxy a Robo? He doesn't have the probe there. So, yeah, oh, it might just be a fake pylon, a proxy pylon. Yeah, he doesn't have any probes going there, so... Oh man, I think he just missed this opportunity because Stats went for a more greedier opening, and ZEST has got to open up with a more aggressive push if he wants to punish Stats for it. Or if he does let Stats get away with it, his economy is going to jump forward ahead of ZEST. It's going to be really hard for ZEST to then contend and keep up. Oh man, yeah, I think ZEST is gonna let Stats get away with it. So this little bit of a economic risk that Stats has gone for is going to pay off. So unfortunate. But let's see if ZEST has a kind of a backup plan and can make do with if there's being a little bit behind in terms of just being blind build order openings. Alright, at the very least, he does open Twilight Council, which is the ideal counter to Stargate play. So at the very least, he has that going for him. If he can kind of somehow manage to pick off these Void Rays flying across the map, that could be a good starting point. However, Stat's going to be kind of a little bit ahead in terms of economy. Just because he did open up with a little bit of a faster Nexus. But it really comes down to execution, right? I mean, you could have like the better build order opening, but really it all comes down to execution in terms of how the game goes. Alright, looks like Stat's gonna go ahead and go for his own Twilight Council. So, gonna have ourselves kind of a Blink versus a Blink, possibly. And yeah, that could definitely go crazy because usually the stalker, if it's like mass stalker versus stalker, the kind of the ideal transition is to go into disruptors, and we're gonna have ourselves like a blink stalker disruptor kind of battle, and that of course can usually go crazy. I mean, that has been shown many and plenty of times by those Australia versus Neep series, right? We've seen them so many times. Their blink stalker disruptor games are just absolutely insane. And we might actually get one of those games right here if what I predict is going to happen. But for the time being, it's just going to be relying on these blink stalkers. Oh, actually going to go for the Templar Archive route. Now, of course, you can get those Archons, which does really well against, or I wouldn't say really well, but decently well against the Void Rays. They can tank up the damage of those Stalkers. And then, of course, those Charge Lot. You know, because you're going to get a bunch of Archons, you're going to invest a lot of gas resources into those Archons. You're going to be left over with a bunch of minerals, and those minerals are ideally invested into, you know, charge lot, or maybe, you know, additional nexus or cannons and shield batteries and pylons. But those charge lot do pretty well against the blink stalkers. So at the very least, ZEST is going to have the better army composition. We'll see what stats kind of add in his army composition, and whether he's going to go ahead and transition to disruptors, or he's going to go ahead and try to catch back up. Going to be a little bit of a late Templar Archive if he goes go down that path. But instead, actually going for a really quick 4th Nexus, and this actually gets scouted by ZEST's Hallucinated Phoenix. I think ZEST should go ahead and put on some pressure really soon, because with that 4th Nexus, he's not going to have a lot of army, because that's 400 minerals invested into that Nexus, and plus ZEST doesn't have the greatest army composition. Only now is he adding in that robotics facility, and only now is he about to get charged. Charges are halfway done, but we see ZEST moving out really basically right now in correlation with that warp prism. Where's that warp prism? Okay, the warp prism is being made right now, clearing out the rocks, making an easier pathway, shall he need to in the future. Now stats, his observer sees this. He has vision of the army move out of ZEST. And ooh, we have a little bit of a charge lot squad here on the left side, as all the army of stats is here at the right side. Actually have a little bit of a charge lot run by, accidentally meet up with each other. Alright, first the Disruptor does hit some of these charge lot. The second one actually gets a lot of these sentries, but again, a lot of these army are in those charge lot and those Archons. The shield battery goes off, but immediately ZEST picks that off. Oh, ZEST, he might want to go ahead and move back out. There are a lot of cannons and shield batteries here at this dirt base, and I think he might have overextended there quite a bit, losing a bunch of his army. And Stats does manage to hold off pretty decently. It looked pretty scary at first, but again, all these cannons and shield batteries really paying off there for Stats. Now, of course, ZEST wasn't all in with this. He does have that 4th Nexus. That means he's going to be able to transition, but he is going to be quite behind there on the army supply. He does get a huge warp in just right now. And this is what I'm talking about, attacking at 3 different fronts. One of the things about disruptors are they're not the most mobile. You gotta move them. They don't move the quickest. So you can kind of pull the army back and forth. You might be able to render the disruptor a bit less useful, especially since they're not going to do as much of a splash damage because the ZEST is not going to be attacking with a huge ball for those disruptors who can kind of shoot and get their damage. He's going to have to split his disruptors, and you only can kind of shoot those disruptors and pick off a few units here and there. But you know what? ZEST does pick off 7 workers here. Will retain the worker lead. But more importantly, he is going to have a little bit of a upgrade lead as his +3 is on the way. So there's going to be a moment in time where his stats is going to be behind by 1 upgrade. But he does have a scary army force still with those disruptors. Those disruptors are kind of the trump cards, the aces under his sleeve. Zest's going to go ahead and try to pull Stats' army apart by sending a group of stalkers here. Will he force the recall, or Stats is going to go ahead and commit to it? I think Stats is confident enough to commit to it, as he has a lot of these disruptors that Zest has absolutely no answer for. No Archons, no charge lot with Zest's main army. And the rest of Zest's army does come back home to help defend this. If he can somehow, some way clean up the rest of these disruptor and stalkers, that is going to reset the tech choice or the tech army of Stats. But Stats smartly does recall there. Imagine if he was able, if Zest was able to snipe off all those disruptors, that would definitely have been something that Zest would have loved to have been able to pick off. But Stats, being the pro that he is, gonna save a bunch of them. And right now, Zest just relying on these stalkers and charge lot. He needs to add in some additional units to his army. He is not gonna win here in the straight up engagement against, Stats with his disruptors. He needs something. Maybe a bunch of Archons, maybe some, at least Blink DTs or something. Alright, Zest trying to kind of bypass and do a little bit of a backdoor hit, but that observer is so important for Stats. Will be able to get vision of this, and as you can see, fully prepared for that counterattack. So right now we have a little bit of a standstill here where both players kind of just trying to set up their army, trying to mine off of their bases. And we see Zest getting the 5th base. No 5th base. Oh, there we go. 5th base has gone down for Stats. I'm just worried here about the unit composition of Zest. Now, oh, that's a nice pick off. Does force the cancel, the 5th Nexus to be a little bit delayed. But once again, still sticking with that Stalker charge lot army. Okay, now he does finally add in some Archons there. That's what I'm love seeing there. He needs to add in some splash damage, or at least some higher tier units. You don't want to be stuck with this these stalkers and charge lot at the end of the game. Alright, we got ourselves kind of some nice army movement by both players. And oh, those disruptors not actually getting... Oh, that disruptor hit does get a nice decent chunk. But all the charge lot of... or actually of the whole disruptor army of Stats has been picked off. And these stalkers have nowhere to blink to. These charge lot getting some really nice surround there. That was a huge pick off for Zest. And all of a sudden, he is enjoying a almost 40 supply lead here. Oh no, some of Stat's army was out of position, so these rest of these stalkers are kind of joining up, but he cannot contend with this. He's gonna have to sack this 4th base, and a lot of probes goes down. A huge maneuver here for ZEST. And that does it. ZEST will go ahead and knock Stats out of this tournament. He will advance to the deciders match. And the GG.